Do you want to see my boss?
I'm gonna get some new ones over the summer. I'm coming back stronger than ever for season 43. And then
Jack, do you have any 42 ones?
Yeah, I have the original Green Tribe. Is it the Vati?
Vati.
Jack, did he just dive? Did you just dive?
Jack just dove out of the way to get his Vati buff.
I know right where it is.
I got the Marty Piombo look. Hold on.
Jack, you dove into the floor.
No, I just slid.
No, you don't.
Now, Jack, we know that you.
Jack, where's your buff?
I might wear this to class.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. And we are back this week with your Survivor News of the season finale of Survivor 42. Welcome to the Purple Pants Podcast, Survivor News Edition. Let's welcome back the baby boy that just got up, that got crust in his eyes, but he's still alive, Jack. The Jackery Atkins from The Circle Season 2 was popping, baby boy.
What is up, Bryce? How's it going? Wendell, good to see you. I'm so excited to break down this finale. It was a great season.
Yes. And of course, let's welcome to the podcast the winner of Ghost Island Season 36, the man that has to put Vaseline on his fingers before we podcast because he needs his hands lubricated, Wendell Holland.
What's up, gentlemen? I'm currently putting some Vaseline on the cuticles and in between.
So a question for me is that, like, the importance of having your cuticles moisturized for a podcast is?
You can't just be sitting here with dry hands, Bryce.
Oh, okay.
Like your hands, don't they, you feel the dryness.
You feel good, you play good, you look good.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
So if that is the case, then that means, Jack, your cuticles are not moisturized.
Damn.
My cutes stay moisturized.
Oh, okay. Well,
they decent.
My cutes stay cute, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay.
Perp, my Vaseline overfloweth right now. I think I need to put some on my elbow because I used too much.
Oh, okay.
That's
well,
fine.
I mean,
That's fine.
listen, that's an interesting way to kick off the podcast. Listen, is this a Wendell commercial for cute cuticles? I don't know.
Cuticles.
Oh, okay. Somebody gonna have to trademark that. But listen, we are back from the Bryce and Wynn present the finale with Lauren Ashley Beck in La La Land and Big Bay. Who? Chalet, it was giving a lot. I don't even know where to start, Wendell, but first of all, thank you so much to everyone that came out, that supported us this whole tour season. LA capped it off. It was amazing. So many people from so many shows, so many fans, not even fans, friends from all over the world. There were so many people that I talked to that night that flew in just to be in the room with us to watch this historic episode.
It was great. It was a magical moment. There's this energy that enters the room when all of our people are in the room, and I think it really translated out there. Like it was just a wonderful moment. And there were more reality stars than we've ever had. And even family, my big sister came out, my cousin came out. I think I might've shed a tear when I was able to give my big sister a big hug. And that wasn't the only tear I shed that night, because we will get into the episode, but we had a great time in LA. We're still in LA. We had a great time at the finale.
Yeah, definitely. And again, just a huge shout out to everyone that came out. Huge shout out to ET Canada. Huge shout out to CBS that actually covered the finale. So it is doing amazing things. I also want to give a huge shout out to Screen Rant. I don't know if you guys saw that article, but Screen Rant did an article of like the top 5 podcasts that are covering this season. And they didn't had your baby boys, Jack, Emily from The Circle, Wendeezy, and myself. And so just truly appreciate everyone that listens to us. And, you know, shout out to Screen Rant because I definitely think us 3 have something very special. And, you know, listen, we ready for season 43 and 44.
Oh, yeah.
And just to add to that really quickly about our listeners, we aren't the biggest podcast in the world, but we are mighty. We're small and mighty. And our listeners, we've seen you when we go to have our parties, we love talking to you all and hearing that you listen to the pod. And, you know, a couple nights ago, everyone was telling me that they love the commercial breaks and all of that. You know,
well, that's interesting because they was telling me that they was like, I don't like them with you too, baby boy. So listen, pick a side.
Well, we appreciate interacting with you all, and we love y'all so much. And we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts for listening.
Jack, anything you want to say to the one member of the Jack Shack?
Yeah, shout out to my mom. Thanks for the no, but just want to say LA looked amazing. I had major FOMO, but gotta say my metrics project really was great. No, but yeah, it looked like an incredible time. You guys have been crushing it with the Bryson One Presents all season. I can't wait till I'm done with college so I could pull up to every single event. But yeah, I just want to shout out to all the supporters of the podcast. Shout out to Screen Rant. I remember during the circle, they had some favorable things to say about the baby boy. So Screen Rant, top 1 website in my book. So whoever's behind, I think that might be Bryce who's writing for Screen Rant. But
the ghostwriter.
Yeah, I can't wait to break down this episode. It was so awesome. And it's fun that now that the reunion's now on the island going forward, it seems like it's almost like you guys might be that new finale party, which is an amazing opportunity. And it's going to be so fun.
Yeah. And before we kick off the season, great topic to just, I came with my questions ready. In a recent interview, Jeff said moving forward that all the finales will be shot in that format. And I would love to just hear you two take on it. Because I think in theory, it's great. You know, you can get their live reactions and you can see how everyone's feeling. But also at the same time, I'm such a huge proponent of mental health. And I think that although the time between when you leave the island and then when you read the votes, yeah, that can be agonizing and cause anxiety. But I do think there is time to process. There is time for people to like heal from everything that happened. I think of season 41 when Xander and Deshaun lost. And for me, it was like really difficult to like, I wanted to celebrate Erica, but at the same time, it was very difficult for me to like physically watch Xander and Deshaun kind of like have to take that in. So what are your guys' thoughts on the new format moving forward?
Jackery?
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Bryce. I don't mind the new format. It's great that they get right into the meat and potatoes with questions that, you know, were relevant a day before rather than 8 months ago. But I do think, like you said, there's something to be said about the fact that as you're putting these 2 final tribal losers right into the thick of it without any time to, you know, go sit by themselves, take a shower, decompress, like process what's going on. I also think there's something exciting about the reunion in LA where, you know, everyone gets to come back together and see each other again probably see everyone for the first time since their season. Everyone gets to dress up. It just seems a little bit more fun and everyone will have seen the season. So that helps you kind of polish your thoughts a little bit more on what happened and some things that you didn't see. Because the things we're hearing at the reunion now are kind of similar to what we're hearing about at Tribal Council, because everyone's kind of has the same perspective on people's games. And then I heard a suggestion that I kind of liked, where if they are going to do on the island, why not give the castaways a day at Ponderosa to decompress, unwind, let them dress up, let them get some margaritas, and then do it at Ponderosa and have a nice setup at Ponderosa. And that's sort of like a happy medium. But for me, it's just like, especially Xander being my friend, I remember watching him right after Final Tribal Council. You could kind of see the pain in his eyes and just like And I just don't think that was the most fair thing to do when they could easily do it the next day. Like it's just, and maybe they will. I feel like they might have heard this sort of feedback, and hopefully they can make a change that works a little bit better.
I see a few sides to this. The first thing I think about is there's something survivory about getting through tribal and then us seeing them 8 months later or 5 months later dressed up in this live studio audience. It's like that is Survivor, and we get to see them how they've transformed and all of that stuff. And we as viewers kind of miss a little bit of that with this new format. Then there's also something kind of thanking the castaways by bringing them to LA for this like reunion that's bigger than just that, where they're in LA and they get to meet other people and they're on stage and all of that. That's like almost like a rites of passage or something. And then, but I also understand how, when they shorten the season because of COVID and they have like the 2-week quarantine up front, I can see from a business perspective, as you start taking things away and the equation still works, you're saving all this money. So from a business owner's perspective, it's like, all right, well, why do I need to do all this extra stuff if we still have this product? Yeah. So I do understand that. All in all, the mental health aspect, that's a real concern. I start thinking about Laurel on Ghost Island when she had to cast the deciding vote between me and Dom after not getting any votes, after making it through this incredible game, after being at the top of her game in life in every regard, and then she gets no votes, and then she has to decide. She has to be the deciding vote on a winner. And I think about if she had to then go right into a reunion, after she voted for me, the three of us got on a boat. Everyone else got on another boat. Laurel cried the whole way back on that boat. And when we got to Ponderosa, she went right to her room. And for me to think of putting someone like that in that position right then and there, I think that would be, it would just be a lot and overwhelming. And I would seriously consider her mental health, just like you considered Xander's and other people. Unfortunately, like it seemed like Mike and Romeo did a good job. But I also think that as we watch and we understand that they go right into it, then the players will also understand, all right, if I make it, I'm going right into the reunion. So now they can almost prepare, or their minds can say, you know what, no matter what happens in the game, if I make it to final tribal and lose, I'm going right into the reunion. So at least they have a heads up. Yeah. So there's that.
I think the heads up is good, but still, like, in theory, it sounds good, but when you sitting there and it doesn't, like, I couldn't imagine. And for me, I also love the reunion. Like you guys said, I love to see them dressed up, and I love to see their families. Like, when you won, Wendell, and I saw your mom and I saw your daddy and Joey running up on the stage, like not you brought the whistle to LA.
I'll bring it with me. I have a little box for when I have to travel.
But just seeing your family and being able to enjoy the excitement with your loved ones, I think brings an avenue to it as well. But, if Survivor is looking for a reunion host, the Jackery is finishing college, when DZ is around and, your baby boy is ready. So, Jeffrey, you got Wendell number.
Yeah. That's the good thing though, is if this typical reunion does fade away, like I said, you guys might have that new opportunity to sort of be that reunion. And I would have to guess that the Bryson one presents is a lot more live and more fun than just, not to say that the normal reunion isn't fun, but it's probably a little bit more low key. They always got like the 11-year-old that they asked to predict the winner. So I know they ain't turning up like we are, but
so are you saying you would predict the winner at the Bryson one present?
As the resident youngster, either me or
Jack
you, Bryson,
have all this buff, right? The two youngest. Jack's like, "Hey guys, this is my buff, and I think it's going to be."
Jeff would be like, now we know you're not 18 yet, but do you think you could come out to the island someday and play Survivor? I'd be like, yeah, Jeff, I'm down.
Even though you're
one last
6'5".
Yeah. Last thing too about the reunion is like it's supposed to be people reuniting. Like that's what I like about the normal one is it's 9 months later and you could kind of catch up on how people have been, how the season like worked. Oh, my earbud just fell out. How people, but I caught it. Like how people have been, how interacting with people throughout the season would have been. Like I would love to hear how Marianne felt about how people received her throughout the season, things like that. Whereas if you're doing it right after Final Tribal Council, there's like no new information or anything to learn about these castaways. So
right,
I think that's another factor.
Very interesting. Well, all right, when DZ moderator, take us away to the final recap of 42.
Bryce,
there you go.
Bryce, can you quickly check your text message right now?
Oh, I'll be right back.
Oh. Someone just messaged us about the pod. So I think we need to announce it live.
Whoa.
Not official. I don't know. Should we tell the people who just is texting our phone?
Okay. I think we have to because this we're gonna have to give him your number. This gentleman is we think that he listens to the pod. We love him very much so.
Well,
and what does he ask?
We know.
Okay, so we can say we know him.
We know. So we just got a text message from the baby boy that is Omar. And Omar said, "Baby boys, when do I get my shot to come on the Purple Pants podcast? And do you want a solo or would you like a duo interview with me and the current winter of season 42, Marianne?" Hey, listen, y'all heard it first. So let us know in the comments, what is the combination that you guys want? I don't know if we've ever had a 3, 4, or 5-some Purple Pants podcast.
Freak of the week.
Okay, it's giving Freak of the Week.
Screen Rant's gonna love this one.
All right. Yeah, that was a cool text to get while we're right here. So shall we get into the breakdown of the episode?
Let's go.
We're gonna try to go through it kind of fast so we can get to really the real meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
But we are back at camp after we are very saddened with the Omar boot. And we are now back at camp post Omar boot with Lindsay, Mike, Marianne, Romeo, and Jonathan. And this is like a bare bones camp now. They sent them back to somewhere else, right? This new location. And Marianne was happy to say that she finally showed the people that she's there to play. She made this big move on Omar, and she is there to play. We have Lindsay. She's upset that Jonathan voted for Omar and didn't tell her. And Jonathan's like, "You voted for me." So, yeah, she was left out of their plan, but she was also voting for him. Jonathan was using that, and he wasn't bending. But again, I mean, and then he also said, "You're being aggressive." Oh, another one of those.
His favorite.
Yes.
He loves it. It's like looking in the mirror sometimes.
Nope. And we are continuing on, and we see Romeo make a fake idol.
It's like, is the Purple Pants podcast predicting all of this? Because I feel like Zachary, you might have said that last episode.
Jackery.
It's called previews, Bryce. Because in the preview for the finale, it showed him making the idol.
Yeah. You know what, Jack?
So Romeo tells Mike, he's like, "Hey, Mike, he tells everyone, he's like, I got an idol. I'm playing it tonight." And Mike's like, "Oh, you got balls of steel for not playing it last night." And everyone's just like, "All right, if he hasn't, okay. All right, cool. Good to know." So day 24, Mike and Romeo are talking. They say we need Lindsay out next. And this is something that we kind of predicted. We said that based on where the idols are held, we think that Lindsay and Jonathan, these two challenge beasts, would be on the hot seat for tonight. So Lindsay is understanding that she might go home tonight. And then this is where Mike kind of says to her he might use his idol for her. He's also said he might use his idol for other people, and this has been a trend of our good friend Mike, where it's like he's overpromising. We love him, but with this idol in his pocket, he told Maryanne he would use it for her at Final Five. He's alluding to it with Lindsay, and I think he might have said something to Jonathan also.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we get Tree Mail, where basically they get this word scramble and they have to find something out, figure out this word scramble so that they can receive an advantage in the next challenge.
So can I ask a question? When I saw that it was a word scramble, I was just curious to know, Jack and Wendell, how well did you think Jonathan was going to do with it?
I think I was with friends that said, no, Jonathan's not winning this one. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
Same thing at the challenge. At the end, there's like a puzzle, and I was like, "This is all Lindsay." Like,
So
it was a fun little
That was a fun bit actually. Like with Lindsay finding it so fast. Good fortune is found in the toes of the sleeping giant, and she's looking for this toes of a sleeping giant for a long time. All the while, these other four are trying to find this word puzzle out. And I think Marianne is onto something, but Marianne explains that she doesn't want the other people finding it. She wants Lindsay to find it, so she's going to just play dumb. Yeah. And what was funny was when Lindsay was out looking for it for a long, long time, Mike's like, hey, let's just work together to figure this out, because they couldn't figure it out. So I thought that was funny. And yeah, then
the
finally,
hiding place of the advantage was pretty cool too. Although based on the view
panning?
of the foot, I thought the toes would be at the top. I was like, she's gonna need Angelina's ladder to get up there. But then it's at the bottom. That's like the heel, bro. Like that's not the toes. But I don't know. That's like a nitpick.
Okay, but
like it was
also,
on the ground.
Riddle me this, Jackery. On my rewatch,
I shall.
On my rewatch, it looks like our friend Lindsay is like 50 meters from the sleeping giant. And she's just standing there like, I can't find it. I don't know. Then all of a sudden she looks around. I don't know. She's just like it.
And then they highlight it on the screen. Did she see the highlight of the foot?
Right?
I don't know.
Like,
it's the previews, Jack. It's the previews.
But yeah, well, anyway, one way or another, Lindsay found the advantage, which will help her in the challenge. We don't know what the advantage is yet, but we will soon, because we get into the day 25 out of 26 days challenge for immunity and a pasta dinner.
Oh.
This challenge is so cool. Shout out to John Kerhofer for this one. Shout out to everyone, the Dream Teamers, everyone that helped build this challenge. It was incredible. Like a semicircle with a net in the middle where they had to run through that net, and they had to cross various bridges. Some were, like a bridge that you have to build with two little wooden planks. Some were just two ropes that you had to like walk across, and each bridge was like a different obstacle that seemed very difficult. So it was really cool. They had to run across these bridges, get puzzle pieces, and run back, and ultimately build this round puzzle.
What I love about challenges like this, and I don't know if it's always at like Final Five or towards the end, I always say they're like the equalizer challenges, where I feel like just because you are necessarily physical, it doesn't mean that you will get the puzzle. And even if you are, like, say, strong and big in stature, it also could be a disadvantage to you for going through and doing some of these maneuvers. So I really feel like I love these type of challenges because I feel like it combines everything that it takes to win Survivor in these challenges. And although, Lindsay and Jonathan have been historically the challenge winners, but now the playing level field is completely open. So I wish we would see more of these like equalizer challenges closer in the merge, just to kind of like, or like after the merge and in the individual immunities, because you just really honestly never know who is going to win.
I agree with you, Bryce. I love a challenge like this that has a lot going on. I've said it numerous times, and I do love a puzzle at the end. And yeah, it's one of those challenges that anyone can win. Now, granted, sometimes the challenge beasts get to the puzzle first or something, but that's when anything can happen. And we see that because Lindsay had this advantage, which was instead of having to untie like 8 loops, she only has to untie 2 loops on each at where she gets her puzzle pieces. Now, I will say that Survivor knots are relatively loose. So like instead of being tight knots, they're kind of just loose knots. So you just got to get your fingers in there and get them open. But still, that's a couple second advantage per puzzle piece. Anyway, ultimately, it is a showdown between Lindsay and Mike. Those are the 2 people that are kind of like leading in the puzzle making. After Mike gets to the puzzle like 3rd or 4th or something like that. And ultimately, Mike wins in dramatic form because he was trying to get that last piece in. Lindsay was hustling. She was down to her last piece also. And Mike wins. I remember this puzzle because I had a puzzle like this on Ghost Island.
Oh.
And this was after I lost. The image on the screen is me screaming, Jeff Probst, because the episode before I didn't scream his name early enough, and my sister Laurel won instead of me. But yeah, this puzzle was a very special puzzle for me that resulted in me, Sebastian, and Angela eating steak dinner.
Oh.
But on season 42, it resulted in Mike winning, and he then had to pick someone to come with him, and he picked his bro who hadn't been eating, who's needed so much food and all this.
Calories really count.
So he picks Jonathan to eat with him, and then he says to Jeff, "Want to give me another one?" And Jeff says, "No." And that's that. Any thoughts on that challenge, guys?
I mean, I loved it. What you think, Zachary?
Jackery.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite challenge of the season. I like that challenge a lot. I like the challenge in the episode before, with like the staircase rungs. Yeah, I always love the end of season challenges like this. I agree with Bryce. I'd like to get more challenges like this as opposed to like all of the endurance balance challenges that we just get back to back. But I can understand from like a budget or setup standpoint why that's kind of the case. But yeah, it was a really fun. I thought it was funny at the start of the challenge. Marianne was like, Jeff, I've been dreaming of a station challenge. And Jeff was like, that's oddly specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a great challenge, and it was super close. It was a great battle, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then we get on to the reward. We got the bro down. Mike and Jonathan are hugging. Then we have we flash over to Lindsay and Maryanne, and Lindsay's basically saying just how much better she is than Jonathan. And then we flash back over to the reward, and Mike says he has this immunity idol that he may give away. Lindsay's the biggest threat, and Jonathan's like, if she pulls an idol, will you play your idol for me? And I think Mike says, of course. So that's him promising his idol somewhere else again. But he also says, he also says that he did promise it to Marianne at Final 5. And later on, we see he does honor that promise. We get a bit at camp where Romeo says to Marianne that their best shot going forward or winning is against Jonathan and not a Lindsay. And I think that a lot of people can agree on that. Like, Jonathan has been a challenge beast, but we've all seen that socially he's not totally there. And so it would make sense for a lot of people to want to sit next to him at the end.
Yeah, I agree. And it just, again, when we were at this, the camp, and Lindsay was just basically saying she's so much better than Jonathan. And for me, I'm just like, girl, you're making, although these are the people that you are working with right now, but baby, it's an end game. And I would think that one would be like, Jonathan is so much better than me. And again, it goes back to me last episode where I say Lindsay made that $1 million mistake as to if she played her idol for O and O was still here, like her level of threatness would be so much lower. There would be so many like bigger targets to get out, and she could be controlling the vote a lot more. And so I just it just takes me back to like, why you just let that idol go to waste?
Wow.
Yeah, if Lindsay plays her idol for Omer at that final 6, I think she probably could like wins the game. She would just have to make fire at that point. Because I think Omer would go at 5, and then but shoulda, coulda, woulda.
No, for sure.
But I do agree. I think Lindsay's game started going south in that vote, and this episode wasn't the cleanest for her. Like I thought her arguing with Jonathan at the start of the episode, like we mentioned, was not the best. Like Jonathan's argument was kind of dumb, but it was like, you did vote for me. Like, why would I let you in on the plan? It was kind of a circular argument. But and then here it's like she's not doing a great job of playing her threat level down. I thought it was smart of her to try to guilt Mike in, because at that point, like anything that works, but throw out, I'm sure she maybe did, but throw out some other options, like maybe go for a Romeo or I don't know. It's but like you said, Bryce, at this point she was kind of the biggest threat, and it's like there's only so much you can do, and in hindsight she should have managed that threat level a little bit better.
Yeah. And I again, another like piece of the puzzle, what I love is that, you fight so hard to get to this position. And a part of getting to this position of where you're at is, again, managing your threat level and like shield and target level. And so what I love so much about Survivor is that, like, yes, I got to get to this final 5. And then you realize you at this final 5 and it's like, oh, F. Like I have such a huge target on my back. And so again, I just think that these episodes are so important. But for me, honestly, take it back 3 more episodes. I think that those are really more important to start identifying what it is to look forward. I think that, again, I always say, get to tomorrow. But I feel like when you get 4 challenges after the merge, it's definitely, and I hope I'm saying this right, but I think I said it wrong last episode, that to have the fruition.
Foresight.
So I was going to say foresight, but I thought I said foresight last week.
Okay. Fruition, that's in the Brictionary for sure.
To have the foresight to start being like, oh, okay, I might not be working with Romeo. Romeo might be on the outs, but now it's time for me to start bringing him in. Now, keeping these levels around, I think is really the time to do so. And it just kind of sort of sad to see, because, I love my girl Lindsay, and I think that, she played a great game.
Yeah. So you're right. So we get to, it's her and Marianne. If they get to the end, like they battle at the end in the final tribal, and that would be a great. It would be awesome to see. Anyway, so we get to tribal. As they come in, they sit down. They start kind of laughing at the fact that they couldn't get the riddle except for Lindsay. That was kind of funny. Lindsay acknowledges that she had to win. It was a must-win day for her. And we have a quote where Marianne says something to the tune of like, she has to play this game for her now. I have to play this game for me. I might have to go back on an alliance or lie, but it's time for me to play my game. And again, it's Marianne digging her heels in like, look, y'all, I'm here to play. I'm a player, and I'm about to show y'all what I can do. And I showed you last tribal. Nothing too big stands out during tribal other than that to me, except for when it's time to vote. Mike gets up and pulls his idol, plays it for Marianne, who we know has an idol in her pocket. She's like, thank you. She plays it, obviously. And Romeo pulls out his idol. Whoa. Watch it. Oh, there. Romeo pulls out his idol, and he's like, this, my friend, is a fake idol, so I'll be throwing it in the fire. It was like, all
Good
right,
for you. Yeah.
solid.
So, question for you two. Mike giving Marianne that idol, is that because in my opinion, I felt like it was a performance move, but a performance move for who? The jury, or a performance move for Marianne if she goes to the jury and he would have her vote? I don't know. I was just having a hard time breaking down what would be the point of something like that, in the sense of we know where the votes. Y'all know where the votes are going at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
it
I
kind
ain't
of
mad.
reminds me. It kind of reminds me of when Wendell played his idol for Laurel in Ghost Island, where she wasn't going to go home, but it kind of reaffirms those bonds. And Mike, you know, I mean, he gave his word to a lot of people, but I think the primary person in this instance was Marianne, and so for him to just kind of follow through on that was a good sign. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Jack. It reminded me of Ghost Island. I knew Laurel was not going home that night, but I also knew that there were times in the game I made all these promises to her, and I was like, this, to me, this seals the deal. You're my sister. I'm giving you this, whether you see 0 votes, whether you see all the votes, I'm protecting you tonight because I gave you my word this whole season. In this case, Mike, we know he's a loyalty guy. It could have been a lot of things. It could have been him saying, Marianne, I wanted to protect you this whole game. I gave you my word. I'm showing the jury that I gave you my word. But also, at this stage in the game, knowing that Lindsay's going home, Mike is very certain, and we start seeing it through the episode, that he is the leader of the pack, that he is the top dog, that he's the man to beat. So he can bring anybody. And I think at this point, he's even not – I don't think he's fully aware of Marianne's threat level and how much of a shark she's about to be in this final tribal council. So he's like, you know what? I just want immunity. I got my idol. I'm going to pass this to her, and I'm going to go through and win this game.
So my next question to you guys is, from a jury perspective, who do you respect more? Mike, and Ben, just put yourself like, Jack, you Roxroy, Wendell, you're Drea, and you see this. And if they, which we know, make it to the final, do you respect Mike more for giving the idol, or do you respect Marianne more for being able to have that connection where he will want to play it for her more? Because I feel like they're both very telling and a very strong decision, again, for Mike to give it to her, but also to be like, well, all right, Marianne, you got this connection with him where he willing to give you your eye. Like, you know, it kind of like, where do y'all see that?
Can I take this first, Jack?
Yeah.
If you're Roxroy and if I'm Drea, I'm respecting. I'm thinking. I'm leaning towards Mike, because if you think about those particular players and what they value, I think they value that kind of a play as opposed to Marianne's whole 20 however many days of working that angle with Mike and getting in with Mike. And that, I think they see Mike as this powerhouse power player. Boom, I'm protecting you. Let's go. Follow me. As opposed to someone that, like an Omer, who might have seen the finesse of Marianne working that angle and working her way in with Mike in a more gentle, like discreet, like a long-term approach. That's where I'm coming from.
And Jack, answer from your perspective. Like, if you were out there and you were watching it, what would you?
That's how I took the question, because I was like, Roxroy's going to be like, I love Mike. But I think, like Wendell said, it just depends what you value. And for me, I think on the jury, sort of the visible move of Mike doing that is a little bit more exciting. But then I think once you hear, especially when Marianne lays it out at Final Tribal Council, how she set that up to happen for her, especially the fact that she had an idol, I think that's much more respectable than Mike just giving away an idol that he kind of has to give away. And I do want to backpedal real quick to one thing that was really like very present in my mind as we went into this tribal. I really thought, you know, going into this finale, especially once it got rolling, I felt very strongly that Marianne was probably going to win. And going into this tribal, I thought there was a chance for a really signature move by Marianne. And my friends that I was watching it with, unfortunately not in LA, we were all saying, what if Mike plays his idol for Marianne, and then Marianne goes in behind him and plays her idol for Lindsay, and then they vote out Jonathan? That's what I thought was going to happen. I actually think it's smart of Marianne that she did not do that, but I thought that would have been a really crazy move. But I want to hear what you guys would think of a move like that by Marianne, because it's obviously a huge move, but I think it's smarter to get Lindsay out.
So, I mean, I think that, first of all, television-wise, I think that would be on the floor great. But I then think if Marianne were to do that, and again, is this the time to flex your muscles, or would that be like, if you were to do that, then everyone is like, oh, you're gonna win, and we got to do everything that we can do to ensure that you don't win and that you play like it. I think that it's a great move, but does that then illuminate your light too much? But then again, this is the end, so why aren't we shine bright like a diamond?
And you would be keeping Lindsay in, who might still be a bigger threat than you.
But but if you were to do that, then there's no way that Lindsay, I feel like people will respect that. Like, even if it were her and Lindsay at the end, there's no way that people could overlook what Marianne just did.
If
go ahead.
If Marianne makes that move, Marianne better be great at making fire, because she is going to have to make fire if she doesn't win that final 4 immunity challenge. And we haven't seen her prove herself as this immunity challenge winner. So yes, if she makes this move on Jonathan, the optics will be crazy. That's a crazy tribal. I think that might have been in my head at some point over the last week too. Like, Mike is promising this idol to her. What if she does something to save someone, and they get this Goliath who's been this whatever in the game out, and it's little Marianne that does that to giant,
and it's Mike's closest ally who she's now. But so I was really excited to potentially see that, but I do think it was not the best move, because I think just by going with the flow, getting out of Lindsay, if you save a Lindsay, you know you're at least giving her a chance to make fire. And I felt like at that point, Lindsay was really the only biggest competitor for Marianne. So it's like, why save her and risk it when there's a good chance you could slide through to the end anyways? And that's exactly what she did. But I thought it would have been a legendary move by Marianne, but who knows how it would have worked out. But it would have been really, really cool to see.
No, that would have been epic. And unfortunately, not you double.
No, this is for my lips now. The petroleum Vaseline, especially the one with the cocoa butter in it. Yes, mine is a little rugged right now, but it's like the universal solvent. Like, you can use it on your lips, use it on your. This is because I don't have my commercials today. Use it on your cracked skin, use it on your knuckles, use it on your cuticles. We're not clapping because we don't have commercials today. But
so now we get a commercial of Wendell for Vaseline. Listen, Vaseline, y'all better hit them up. Okay.
Okay. So
who goes home?
So sadly, our girl Lindsay goes home. What a great player. If Lindsay would have won, you know what? If Lindsay would have gotten to the end and won, I'm putting her like up there as one of these. I truly think Sarah Lacina is one of these greats. Like, she's just so great at competing. And when I see a Lindsay, I'm like, man, Lindsay is like one of those great competitors that she just like one of those total packages that have it kind of like Sarah Lacina. So yeah. Lindsay would have been great, but this awesome competitor is out at Final 5.
Yeah, it was a shame we didn't see more Lindsay up until the last few episodes, because I felt like she always had her finger on the pulse of the game. Like, even that one episode where they had the double tribal and Jonathan won that immunity and he was kind of talking down to Lindsay. That was sort of the first time she wasn't getting a lot of screen time, but we saw her kind of hit the nail on the head to Jonathan and say, like, here's your plan, and these are like 3 reasons why it's wrong, and here's what we should do, because this is the way that this person perceives this person, and this is the way that this person perceives this person. And it was just dead accurate from what we'd seen. And up until that point, we hadn't really seen a whole lot of Lindsay at all. So she would definitely seem like a great player. And it was a lot of fun watching her in the last few episodes because she was crushing it. Just wish we had seen a little bit more of her early on, to be honest with you.
I concur with that, Jack. However, I think with the new style of editing, I think that I don't know if anyone like me out there watches, but when I watch Survivor, I always am looking for the winner edit. Like I'm always looking for like, ooh, who is like, and so how they have been these last seasons, especially with the Erica, I always am like, who is somebody that's laying low and kind of emerging? And I think that very moment with Jonathan and when she had that disagreement was the first time that I said in my head, is Lindsay the winner? And so for me, I would have loved to see more, but in that moment, it made me afterwards focus in so much more on her that I am kind of sort of grateful, because I don't know if I would have felt the same way that I feel about her.
Okay. And I noticed, I was looking at my notes. I noticed I took a missed note. I said day 25 at the last challenge. Now we are on day 25. This is the last challenge, the day before final tribal, which is day 26. And so I had to correct myself, players mess up, you know what I'm saying? So day 25 challenge is the ball maze. This is Samotion. Yes. Marianne knew the name of the challenge because Marianne is a true student of the game. Jeff asks each player individually, like, about the moment and everything. And we get some good content there. I think our buddy Mike explains how he's, this has been a dream for 21 years. And we get down to Marianne, and she makes this real impassioned speech where she talks about her family and how some of them have kind of been driven apart from one another. But if this moment, this powerful moment of hers could be a moment of them watching her and them coming together as a family to watch her conquer this, incredible moment. So that was her speech. I'm giggling a little bit because we get into it. Mike was like ready to go and everything. We get into the challenge, and like in the first couple minutes, Mike drops his ball, man. Like Bryce, don't make any faces. In the first couple minutes, and for those listening, this is the ball challenge where all you have to do is grab it from the bottom and put it in the top. You grab it? Okay. Okay.
Wait. Go again, Wendy.
So you grab it from the bottom. And then you drop it up top, and the ball goes through this little maze, and halfway through it either goes right or it goes left. So it alternates. So every time you got to grab it from the right. Then over here, you got to grab it from the left. So that's all you need to do. You got to really focus. You guys listen here, okay?
Pause.
Okay. Pause. I'll blow the whistle on my song. Okay.
I'm sorry. When Jesus said you gotta grab it from the right, then go over here, grab it from the left, jiggle it, baby. Grab it from the right, grab it from the left, and jiggle it, baby. Drop it at the top, grab it from the left, grab it from the right, and jiggle it, baby.
Drop it at the top, grab it from the left, grab it from the right, jiggle it, baby. Drop it on the top.
Wait, Jack, can we see you do it? Can we see you do a jiggly baby? Jiggle it, baby.
Jiggle it, baby. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. No, it was so funny when Mike dropped. It was so funny when Mike dropped because Jeff was like, Mike, what the fuck? This was a warm-up, Mike. And Mike's like, Jeff, I know. I just dropped it. I'm sorry.
He said it just slipped out of my hand. And he tried to put it back up top. He like grabbed it real fast.
Yeah, he tried to play it off. And I was like,
like, bro, they're watching you. There's a lot of cameras on you.
I gave this ball my word I wouldn't drop it.
Bro, Bryce, you have to get the image of Mike standing with his hand on his hip. He was literally frozen there for like 5 minutes, just like, I can't believe this. Yeah. So
that was so funny.
Probst called him out. You dropped it in the warm-up phase. And then Marianne drops. And then we get a showdown between Romeo, this very small in stature person, and the Goliath that is Jonathan, right? They add a third ball. The balls are moving. Grab it from the left. Grab it from the right. Jiggle it, baby. Drop it up. Grab it from the left. grab it from the right, and jiggle it, baby.
Jiggle it,
Drop it
baby.
at the top.
Drop it at the
Grab
top.
it from the left.
Grab it from the
Grab it
left.
from the right,
Grab it
and
from the
jiggle
right.
it, baby.
Jiggle it,
Drop it on
baby.
the top. Grab it for the left, and then grab it for the right, and jiggle it, baby. Drop it on the top. Drop it for the left, and grab it for the right, and jiggle it, baby. Drop it on the top. Okay. All right. Yo, that's gonna be a hook to a song.
That might be a new one.
We need to get what's our boy JCR to edit it.
Rivera, listen, we might need to get it, but listen, you gotta do the dance. It's the jiggle it, baby.
This is gonna be a remix of one of Bryce's songs.
Yeah.
I always get the party started when I grab it from
Jiggle
the
it
right.
right,
grab it from
grab
the
for the
left.
left. Jiggle it, baby.
Jiggle it, baby. Drop it from the top.
Hey.
Okay. So we have this showdown, and you have to strategically drop those balls because as you're adding them, they go down. This sounds terrible, but as you continue to add more balls, you have to keep grabbing them, and they go fast. And I just feel so uncomfortable explaining this, but ultimately, Jonathan drops his ball.
Oh.
And Romeo wins his first immunity challenge and what is probably the most important immunity challenge of the season.
Listen, now, did I have the foresight? Because last episode I said, could it, would it, should it be enough for Romeo? And y'all know I've been on here screaming and cheering for my baby boy, Romeo, or I just have not been a subscriber to the Romeo hate. And I feel like, look at baby boy. And so to anyone that is saying he's a GOAT, he's this,
He
that,
earned
like,
those 0 votes.
Jack, we gonna get you.
Jack, but you're not gonna do my baby boy wrong. But no, I mean, I
I'm
hear
not
what
on
you're
the
saying.
Romeo. I like Romeo, but
I think that this, for me, honestly, like, could Romeo win? Probably not. However, for me, I just was so happy to see him win because he earned his spot as number 3. And you can't take that away from him. We see him making a fake idol as much as it might not look like an idol, but he's locked in. He's doing what he can do from where he can. And to me, that's not a GOAT. That's a player. Sometimes the way the cards, the way the deck fold, the way the balls drop, you can't catch them all from the left or the right. But he was jiggling it, baby, and he did what he needed to do. And so I just want to say that I have a lot of respect and admiration for Romeo. A lot of the time in Survivor, LGBTQ plus people of color do not often do well in the game of Survivor. We do have LGBTQ plus winners, but they are like normally white gay men. We don't get to see players of color that are gay do well. Last season we had Ricard, which is just such a champion for us, and now we get a Romeo. For me, the Romeo player just means a lot more to me because I see a lot of myself in Romeo. Not that I can't see myself in other LGBTQ plus players, but I am just saying, for me specifically, to see a gay man of color get number 3, win the last challenge, make a fake idol. So for me, it just means a lot more. And so I just had the opportunity to see the baby boy, and I just was able to give him his flowers, and it's just great. So I don't subscribe to the Romeo hate. He is not a GOAT, and this goes to show you. And to anybody out there, because Spicy Bricey is here right now. Anybody out there that got negative things to say about the baby boy Romeo, let me ask you this. How many immunity challenges have you won? I'll wait. Okay, so we can continue. Sorry, because I gotta take up for my baby boy.
I will say Romeo's arc was kind of interesting because pre-merge, he and Drea were a very strong duo. So it was just I don't really know what happened once they hit the merge. I guess like he said at Final Tribal, he felt like Hai kind of replaced him and started to get paranoid, and that just led to him kind of his game crumbling a little bit. I also will say at this Final Four challenge going into it, my friends and I were saying it would be the most interesting if Romeo won, because then there's some unpredictability about who's going to make fire, what's going to happen. So not only did he win and secure his spot, but it also made things a lot more interesting, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. And just to add on to this Romeo thing, Bryce, I'm with you. I wouldn't consider him a GOAT. I would say that the edit wasn't the friendliest to him for other reasons. I mean, there were other characters and stories that had to be told to get certain people out at certain times. But yeah, and even with that idol play that he did, I think that there might have been some like true convincing the other people that what he had was a real idol or something, because yeah, I just think that I agree. I don't think he's a GOAT, and I'm very glad that we had a Romeo make it this far, win this final challenge. Ultimately, he didn't get any votes, but yeah, I'm on board with you, Bryce, about our baby boy Romeo.
I just think about his story when him and Hai were talking, and like, you know, even with his sexuality, he's not all the way out to a lot of his families. He's worried how he might be perceived. And again, I think about Maryanne saying her family doesn't always come together. And I just think of like, look at some of Romeo's families that may not accept his lifestyle or may not like, and they can look at him and say like, you won the final immunity challenge. You are numbered. Like, you know, it's a real powerful moment for a lot of reasons. And for me, it resonates with me. And again, I just am just happy to have some representation in the final three in a community that I reside in, and especially in a community that is always not so favorable to people of color, the LGBTQ+. But at times we need role models, and to see imagery like this, I think that it is extremely important. So I got a lot of baby boys on this season, but I just want to ensure that, you know, Romeo knows that I see him, and that for me, it makes me proud. It makes me think of when Evie was winning immunity challenges, when Ricard was winning immunity challenges. It gives me a sense of pride. I couldn't do it. And, you know, for me to know that it's possible, and to know that any queer person out there, doesn't matter your ethnicity, it doesn't matter your race, your color, your creed, but just to see it, and for somebody to have been on the bottom so long, for somebody to like always count it out, for his name to always have been on the chopping block, for him to come out and say, "What's up? Vote me out now." And it's just, you can't. So it just gives me chills.
Bryce, I'll give you some flowers. You speak these things, and you are a big part of the evolution, and now you're kind of at the forefront of asking for things, and you champion these people. Now we've seen, like you said, a Ricard, we've seen a Hai, among others, Evie, et cetera, where America is going to get used to seeing the people in the LGBTQ community competing at a high level, going far. This is something that we're going to start seeing. And I think it's so important that that story is told, and that America sees that people in this community are competing that hard. They're great characters. They're, you know, I'm just very, very thankful that now that is becoming more widespread. And Bryce, again, you've championed that cause for a very long time, and you continue to push the needle, and you want to see even more representation.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, absolutely. I think that, again, when we speak about diversity and we speak about representation, it's not just about people like Black people. It's not, you know, we want to see more. We want to see more Muslims, Asians, any creed, but specifically to me in the LGBTQ+ community, I think that in the inception of Survivor, it's done a great job of, you know, showing people that are, you know, in the LGBTQ+ community. However, my one call in to CBS and anyone that else is listening is that they've had a great trans representation. However, I just say that we've had two white trans men, and I think that representation is great, and I love to see it. However, I want to see more. I think that, you know, with June coming up and it being Pride Month, I just would be remiss without saying that I would love to see a Black trans woman on Survivor. I think that would be historic just to see in itself. And when we look at the demographic of trans, specifically in this country, of Black trans women, and the rate of homicide and the rate that they get killed in this country and their cases go unsolved, the police don't care, they don't look, it is astounding. And at times, Black trans women or trans people in general have to turn to sex work to be able to make ends meet because they cannot assimilate into the society. And I think that we've got great representation out in the community. We have so many more trans people out there, but I think this would be a great opportunity for Survivor to open the door and show us more of what a trans community looks like, and show us more of what the Black trans community looks like. I think that it is just so important, and especially to our Black trans friends and my Black trans sisters out there. Like, I see you. I try to use my voice as much as I can, and as much as I speak about being an othered and how I feel on situations, I realize my privilege in the LGBTQ plus community, and I see where they are lacking, and I will at any time always choose to be an ally to the trans community. And I think that would just be something so great and moving to see that on a season of Survivor. So my fingers can only be crossed, but your baby boy is always going to speak up and speak out.
Yeah.
It's Friday, May 27th, 2022. You guys heard Briceizyah say that, and when Bryce speaks, things happen. I'm going to help elevate his voice. So is Jack. And my prediction is that we will see a Black trans woman on Survivor by season 45, 46. So so that's a bold prediction. I love putting things out there, and Bryce does too. And
if anyone in the trans community is listening, apply. Let them know why your voice, why your visibility, and why at the very least you would slay the game. Okay, we want to see it.
And I mean, at our watch parties, we recruit heavy. We are always telling people to apply. When we look you in the eye, when we tell you to apply, we're not playing. Like, we see something in you. So, apply. This is your show. Apply. So that's our little pitch. But we are back to the island after Romeo won. Romeo's feeling good about himself. He beat Big Bad Jonathan. This was for all those times that he felt some kind of way on the island, or people ostracized him, or any of that. Now he is what was he saying? Like, he's the pageant queen, or he's the one that people are coming to, and he's feeling good about himself. And we get an instance where Mike talks to Romeo. He says, if I beat Jonathan in fire, because now Romeo has to consider who to bring to the final to, and who to send to make fire against one another. So Mike's pitch is, if I beat Jonathan at fire, then you have to beat me and Marianne. But if you take Jonathan right to the end, as opposed to taking a Marianne, if you take Jonathan to the end, then Mike will have to beat a Marianne in fire. And he's like, then you just have to worry about me. Basically, what he is pitching is that in bringing a Jonathan to the end, then it's a Romeo versus Mike battle at the end. Whereas if he brings a Marianne, then he has to worry about Marianne and Mike, or Marianne and whoever wins fire.
I think, I liked when Mike did that, but I also thought of, like, is Mike looking at it from the perspective of, does Romeo believe that he has a shot to win? Or maybe is Romeo, doing it like going to bring someone else for other reasons? And I thought that pitch was great. However, I would have loved it if in that moment, maybe Mike would have pitched, like, I don't know, he could have pitched something else in a different way, because I think that I don't know what Romeo's thought is at this point, whether or not he has a chance, but there is a possibility that Romeo could think that, like, I might be at number 3 and I actually I might not have a vote, but this might be my way of casting a vote.
Yeah. I also think, I think it was a good pitch by Mike, because if Romeo brings Jonathan's probably the best person to beat. So now you only are going to have to worry about one person guaranteed. But if Romeo is worried that Mike is the biggest threat, then why not put the best fire maker in against him and take him out? Because if you think Mike's the biggest threat, you put him in against Marianne. Well, Marianne might lose, although Marianne showed that she's got some good fire making abilities. But I think if Romeo did, like, if Romeo was really fixed on actually trying to win and thought that, you know, Mike was the biggest threat, you got to do what you can to take out Mike. If you think Marianne's the biggest threat, you got to do what you can do to take out Marianne. Although I do think ensuring that Jonathan comes with you isn't a bad move, because maybe if I'm Romeo, I think maybe I'm like, maybe there's a world where nobody really likes Jonathan because his social game wasn't very good, and maybe people are pissed at Mike because he was making too many promises and people are bitter at Mike. Maybe somehow I get a couple of votes. But Mike's whole pitch relied on the fact that he would beat Marianne or whatever, and that or that he would beat Jonathan too, and that like Romeo would have to face both people. I don't know. It was just
Mike was really starting to feel himself that Mike was like, yeah, this is my game to lose. And if I'm being honest, had Marianne not came through in that final tribal, if they would have just voted without a final tribal, I think Mike would have won. Like, I think it was his game to lose going into final tribal because Marianne hadn't communicated her game fully yet. And that's what final tribal is for. So Mike is feeling himself, and no, he didn't. I guess what he was trying to tell Romeo is that, you know, it's going to be between you and I. But like you said, if Romeo even thinks that he can beat him, but Mike, go ahead. What? Bryce?
I think that also it plays into a lot of the social game of Survivor, in the sense of what I always say: talk to everybody. And here's a great chance where now the person that y'all didn't put their name on the block every week was the GOAT, or not the GOAT, but the fake
Underdog?
out vote every week.
Decoy.
The scapegoat every week.
Yeah.
Now he is in a position of power, and it would behoove you to always maintain a sense of relationship to that person, because in these situations now, like, you're coming at the 9th hour asking for a favor. However, if you was built a stronger relationship with the Romeo, maybe he could have swayed a little differently. And so I think that he. Again, I think it leads a lot more to leading up to this. And at times people are just fighting for where they're at now. But I think good relationship skills work to the end. And especially when you see somebody at the bottom, I think that it means use them more. Bring them in more.
An olive branch, yeah.
Right.
But I do like Mike's approach, because it's like, if he goes against Jonathan, he might have a not great chance to win the fire making. And then if he goes against Marianne, not only is his chance at fire making probably a little bit better, but you also would be taking out your biggest competition. So then if Mike beats Marianne, I think he definitely wins the game. So not mad at the strategy of Mike to just kind of accept that and go for it.
Yeah, no. And I mean, and I'm not mad. Mike should be. I'm feeling myself. Like, he should be. Mike did, like, again, if I were Mike, I would be feeling like it's my game to win. So I'm not mad at his pitch. So where we at, Wendy?
So we get a moment where we see Marianne teaching Jonathan how to make fire. And that's because it would behoove her for Jonathan to get to the end and not Mike, because a lot of people on this island are recognizing how much of a threat Mike is. We also get Mike saying to Jonathan, hey, if Romeo gives you an out, you better take it. Like, if Romeo takes Jonathan to the end, he should go, as opposed to doing something slick like saying, nah, I'm about to make fire against Mike. Then we get a confessional from Mike. If I win fire tonight, I win $1 million. Whew.
So do you know how we always say on this podcast, it's like, your words. Sometimes they like those clips of them being like, well, I'm safe tonight and I ain't have to worry. Do you feel like when you're out there in Survivor and you're in those interviews, you should not give the producers those clips because could it be like bad luck? Do we need to knock on wood or like?
Generally speaking, Bryce, yes. Throughout the game, yes. Like be careful with those words of I'm so safe. Oh, I'm perfect. Oh, it's easy vote tonight. All of that. Now, at the Final Four, this is an emotional time. Like I think I remember, like the Final Four and the Final Three. They're like, and you have. They get you with these confessionals, these interviews. I feel like I might have been crying through a whole interview of mine, and I think Dom was also. So not just me. I think Dom was also. But they pull a lot of content out of you this last day or 2 days, and in Mike's case, he sees the end, and this is one of those things where he's basically like, this is all I need to do, and it's mine. And he communicated that. But like you said, Bryce, this is one of those times where you're giving them that soundbite for them to get you. So I don't know. But usually be careful with your words. But during that last moment, it's extra hard. That's what I'm trying to say.
But I will say, as a fan, when Mike said that, I was like, "Oh, he gonna get the fire. He gonna get the fire. He going like." I felt like that energy. I don't know. Like I just felt like when he said that, I was like, "Oh, he gonna get the fire. He gonna get the fire." And I just feel like Mike responds to my comments on the Instagram, so I just have to root for that baby boy. That is the Mike.
Anything, Jack?
No, I was excited to see. Like we were going into fire making, we don't know exactly what the decision is going to be, so that was very exciting. Exactly, kind of like why I was excited that Romeo won the challenge, because it left things more up in the air. Like had Marianne won the challenge, I would have been like, all right, Marianne's about to win the game. Like kind of boring rest of the episode. So I was just excited to see the fire making showdown with whoever was going to be in it.
Right. So then we get to this tribal, and I think at some point Mike says, I feel like it's going to be me and Jonathan. They're putting their best fire starter against me. So again, is Mike feeling himself, letting the jury know like they got to pull out their best artillery to get me out of here. And then Romeo says, I'm going with my gut tonight. I'm taking Marianne with me. So it's clear. Yeah, Mike, they're putting who they think whatever his reason is, Jonathan now is going against you, and Jonathan is a pretty good fire maker. And then we get Jonathan looking over to him saying, I love you, brother. And then they start making fire.
Jonathan.
Hey, okay. Nope. Nope. He loves him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they get into the fire, and it was definitely a really good battle. I mean, to be expected considering Marianne, Jonathan, Mike all showed some chops before the tribal council with their fire making. So it was a good battle. I mean, what do you all think of that fire making? Anything in particular?
I don't know. I was like, for the first couple of seconds, I'm like, what are they doing? Do Survivor have a fan that we don't see? That I just was like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, Mike Fire just said, we going to the end. Whoa!
Yeah, I like seeing Mike win. You see how it's like you see it in his face and in his body. You see it just how grateful and excited and proud. It's like you see 21 years of watching and loving this show in him, and how thankful he is, and so he wins the final fire making challenge, and Jonathan goes up to Jeff. He says, Jeff, I fought the good fight.
Mr. Jeff.
Mr. Jeff, I fought the good fight. Yeah, you did. Yeah, sure. And then Jeff snuffs his torch, and Jonathan is out of here. Do we have anything to say about Jonathan? Like, I didn't think he would make it this far. I had my assumptions going into the game where he would be eliminated, and there were times where he made it further than I thought he would make it. That's what I have to say about Jonathan.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird that he went out on fire making, because that's sort of like the one spot you don't expect him to go out, because he's such a survivalist. Yeah.
And that's what I think that's what, when I start thinking about the Final Four, it's a challenge, and then the winner brings someone, and then the last two people have another challenge. So I think about the type of player that has the best shots at this. It's like you got two challenges. If you're giving me two cracks at getting into that final three, thank you, Survivor gods. I love that. So I think that this setup is built for a Jonathan to have the most shots at getting to that end, and he couldn't make it happen. Sorry. See ya. So then Mike wins, and now we have our final three, Survivor 42.
And the Mike win was nice too, because it makes the final three a little bit more competitive, I feel like, and so that kept me on my toes a little bit. Kept me wondering what was going to happen. And I just felt like the Mike versus Marianne battle was going to be a little bit more exciting than like Marianne versus Jonathan and Romeo. But yeah, they get into it for the final three.
I will say briefly, I was looking forward to Mike being at the final. I'm sorry, Jonathan sitting at the final three, because I want him to have to reckon
See him
with.
Get lit up.
Hey, we're going to light his ass up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did want to see that. But that's right. Anyway, we have this wonderful final three: Romeo, Marianne, and Mike. This is we have day 26, the day 26 feast. Bryce, do you have anything? I know that you're a man of loving these feasts and these milestone feasts. So I just wanted to ask you if you feel like.
Well, you know me. There's love the merge feast, and I love the day 26 feast. Historically on the day 26 feast, they get like the bacon and they be cooking the egg, and I just love it. I just love to watch them and cook and just have the feast. I think that it's so amazing. Didn't really have aspirations of winning Survivor, but two things I wanted to do was just, maybe make the merge feast and make the final three feasts and just cook up can you just imagine me out there like, Mike, how you want your eggs? I'm gonna get I would just give a whole cooking segment. I don't know why. For me, as always, a Survivor fan, that's just like my favorite part, to watch them have the merge feast, reflect, and I just love it. The one thing that I do miss on the older seasons of Survivor. And I feel like on my season Cagayan, I was cut short of, normally when after the merge feast and after like their day together, they go around and they go walking around the island and they talk about each of the player that has like surpassed, and they'll like show an image of them and
the rites of passage.
The rites of passage. I just on Cagayan, I wanted them to just hit me with a little and dot or something. But I missed the rite of passage. I understand they like cut it out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I missed, like the auction. But I missed the rite of passage. But I do love a good merge feast.
Bryce, what if you were part of the day 26 feast and they had you bring the food out and prepare?
Listen, it would be an honor. Could you imagine me? And my truth, then I'm just supposed to bring it out, but then I like stay and crack the eggs and start cooking the bacon.
Yeah,
they like, you got to go. No, I'm here.
So yeah, that would be great. Bryce, you're gonna make it to one of those feasts one day. We get clips of jurors during this time, and Mike's starting to think about like, what will I say to the jury? And we have this kind of montage of the jury sitting there and them saying what they want to hear. A lot of them, you get them saying, hey, Mike made all these promises and he was playing like a stand-up guy, but we think he might have actually been a snake. And if he owns that, then that's going to give me what I need to hear.
And I love that they added this jury speaks segment to the show. I thought that was really like a great way to segue into that final tribal council, see what the players needed to do, and just kind of hear back a little bit from all the players that had gone out.
That's usually like a Ponderosa video type thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how they incorporated that, because you see, and like you saw them just sitting up, getting ready to talk, and then it's like the jury. And I like when the jurors take their job seriously, because this is a serious game for a lot of money, and you see them getting ready and getting locked and loaded to ask the difficult questions. I even heard, I feel like it was Omer alluding to just, what kind of player you are. Are you this player, that player, or are you the cockroach that found a way to get through the whatever and get to the end? And I think that in hearing that from him and maybe someone else, they were trying to say, hey, look, Romeo has a shot. Romeo is this nagging thing that didn't go away and made it through whatever it was. So if there's a way that he can harness that and explain that and communicate that, then maybe there's a way that he can even garner some votes. That's just what I gathered from that. But that was a cool bit. We get a moment where Marianne says, I know I can close the deal. She's building her confidence. She's building her game. And then finally we get to final tribal. The first thing I noticed was in the jury, High's button up was opened up and he had a feminist shirt on. And I love that. I love that. I love that. I feel like I have shirts like that and things like that, or things with messages, but I feel like I would never even think that they would allow me to wear it. But in this new era of Survivor, I think that they are willing to communicate the right messages. So I really like that shirt. The first question was from Omer. He said, what was your survival of the fittest strategy? And again, he alluded to the cockroach thing, how cockroaches made it through whatever stages of evolution or whatever. And he wanted people to really own their game. He kind of threw it out there and said, what got you guys there? Toy says, Mike, go ahead.
I wanted to say for this question, I really liked how Marianne handled this question. And it was kind of subtle, but I think Omar's question really pointed to like Darwinism, survival of the fittest, where, a species, only the strongest of that species are going to survive. And so the other players' answers were sort of about like, what did they do right in the game to survive? And it was very sort of, it was kind of not answering the question. Marianne, I felt like she identified that species that was in trouble, which was those players that were under 25, whether that was a factor. Those players that are under 25 that are strategic, whether that was a factor or not. She said, hey, this was my species. And they were all going extinct. So for me to survive, I had to change this way. And that really appealed directly to what the question was asking. So I just wanted to say, like, I thought that was a great answer and what she kind of needed to do to kick off the tribal.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. We get a heated moment between High and Romeo, where High says, like, you threw a hinky vote at me and gaslit me. And yeah, and Romeo was like throwing these little sneak votes out every which way, whether it was to protect his word or whether it was to shake things up. And yeah, so that was.
I don't love that implementation of gaslight though from High. Like gaslight's a pretty strong word, and people toss it around really liberally these days. But it's like we're playing Survivor. That's called lying. That's not gaslighting. That's kind of a minor thing, but I just thought like it's just lying. Like it's not. Yeah, it's manipulating. That's what Survivor's about.
Right. Yep. And I also just think like, well, what's Romeo to do? Like he never was in the know at that point in time. And so again, another thing for me that what I respect about Romeo was that like he's still putting these votes out. Like, you know what I mean? He's still not like, he's still trying to make something happen. And I can get where I don't get the gaslighting part, but I can get where somebody write your name down, you hold that resentment. But again, I still think Romeo was out there trying to do his thing.
Yeah. We also get a moment where Omer and Chanel and Lindsay kind of bounce off each other, where they're telling Mike, hey, you're a man of integrity. And Chanel says, like, how many people did you give your word to and lie to their faces? Mike says, everyone but Roxroy, until they deceived me first. And Hai says something like, you didn't realize Omer was lying to you the whole game, which speaks to like Mike being not really understanding it all. And Lynn said something to the tune of, you feel like you're allowed to go talk to everyone and make all these connections, but from your perspective, it's not okay when other people do that same thing. So that was when they started getting on Mike.
Just to dive in on Mike's game, like, I think this goes back even to around the merge or even pre-merge when we talk, and I'd say, like, I think Mike is such a breath of fresh air the way he's playing the game, because his instincts for strategy are so good, but he plays such an old school style social game. And I think that just kind of epitomizes where he went wrong, like why he got to the end, but why he didn't win.
Right.
Because for me, it's like, if the path Mike took through this game, if he was consistently articulating why this move and this move was like what he wanted to do, and why he was using his perceived loyalty to blindside people and this and that, Mike would go down as one of the greatest players in the last few years, I feel like. But because he wasn't even like cognizant of the way that he was manipulating people and things like that, he was sort of, not to say bumbling through, like he was clearly doing things intentionally, but he kept kind of contradicting himself and not really being aware of almost how good some of his moves were, because he was like, right, oh, well, this is just me being loyal. But it's like, no, dude, the reason you're contradicting yourself is because you have loyalty with so many people. Harness that and be like, now it's the time to put the pedal to the metal and start using those loyalties to cut some throats. And I think that's what the jury kind of wanted him to say. I think if he says something along those lines, he might win the game. But it was just such an interesting like juxtaposition of the way that he played the game, but also like the way that he, in actuality, like his game versus like how he perceived his own game was such an interesting contrast that I can't really remember seeing from anyone. So,
and like, to Mike's defense, or again, because I feel like Mike is one of the favorite people that we enjoy to watch for gameplay, for commentary, and for like, one-liners. And I think watching the game, I definitely think that Mike believes that he is loyal. Like, I don't know, it's like a weird kind of like Jedi mind trick. Like there is something that resonates with me where like I feel like he is being honest. However, when you come under attack, it's feeling like all holds against me. But like so I don't know. There's just a part of me that I understand what Mike is coming from, and I wish in those questions he would have answered a little differently, because I think that had he let his guard down, and again, I think with Mike, it's also a pride thing, like where I think it's a generational thing where like your word means everything. And if somebody is like questioning your word, then it's almost like a personal attack on you. Yeah. And I wish that Mike could have let that down a little bit and been like, maybe you're right. However, I feel like, but at the same time, I understand his position and his perspective, but again, I wish you're right, Jack. Like, he could have changed his style of thinking to know you're actually doing great and you actually like played an amazing game. It's just that like you don't have to. They're not questioning.
You gotta own it, yeah.
Right. And I think, but owning it means that I'm not a man of my word and I'm not loyal and that I'm all about my family and the people that love me.
But the thing is, I do think, and I'm sure we can all agree, that Mike is probably an extremely loyal guy. And we saw that throughout the season.
100%, yeah.
But again, even extremely loyal guys have to make difficult decisions. And even extremely loyal guys sometimes make two promises in each way. And they can't honor both of them. So, yes, he can be extremely loyal in all of this, which he stood on. But they were focused on the fact that he had to make those difficult decisions. And again, if he would have owned the fact that, yes, I am loyal, you met the true me, but I had to do X, Y, Z in Survivor.
I felt like Omer's question about the species would have been a great way for him to be like, my species is the old guy that want to do everything for everybody. And the way that I had to maneuver was I had to be unloyal to some people. I didn't want to be unloyal to some people, but in order for me to get where I'm at, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just wish that he would have been able to like answer, like, yeah. But again, I get it.
And he started improving with those answers as Tribal went on. But it sort of was a case of too little too late. It was interesting looking back. You know how in the pregame they'll say, like, what Survivor are you most like? So Mike's people were Tony Vlachos and Ty Trang from Co Wrong, which I remember people were like, this is such a weird combination. But it was almost like he almost hit the nail on the head where it's like, his gameplay was sort of Tony, like accidentally Tony-like, where he is bringing a bunch of people's loyalty in, cutting people, and then when he cuts people, is somehow able to convince the other people. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to cut you, like I'm loyal to you, and then he goes and cuts them again.
Wow.
But it's Ty-esque in the sense that Ty would accidentally cut people in a sort of similar way, but it was more accidental. Oh my god,
right.
It was more accidental. And so people weren't able to respect it because it was sort of like, well, you're just telling everyone you want to work with them. And now it's not like, it doesn't seem intentional. So, in a weird way, it was such a perfect prediction of like being sort of like Tony, but sort of like Ty. But I thought Mike's game was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing you said he kind of like, as he heard, he started understanding in Tribal, and that is good. Like, it's great to be a good listener at Final Tribal and understand where these people that you're trying to convince, understand their standpoint, what they see, how they view you, because you might not view yourself the same way. And upon giving that new information, adapt and change a little bit. In his case, I think he said something to the tune of, I'm learning that maybe I wasn't as loyal as I thought, or something like that. Acknowledging that and keeping it moving is a good thing, as opposed to digging your heels in and arguing with the jury, which we've seen at some point in the history.
100%. But at the same time, no, I totally agree. But at the same time, it's not the best spot to be in when you're at Final Tribal pleading your case. You're like, oh shoot, you guys are right. Like, I did do that. Like, you know what I mean? But it's better than him being like, no, I swear I was like so loyal.
Right. There was a point where Drea asked Maryanne a question. We slept together, but I don't know what you did in this game. Can you explain it? And that looked like one of these, like a hardball question. Like, yo, you ain't do nothing. What's up? Or it's like an alley-oop. Hey, we slept together. I didn't see you do anything. What's up? So that she can hit this thing out the park.
Yeah.
And she did just that.
Boom. Was this where she explained how she set up the whole end game?
This is the one with the Mike giving me his.
I think it was great. That's where she sort of, I feel like, locked it in. I mean, after the Omer move, like she said, she basically had every possible permutation to get to the end. Lindsay even wanted to go with her at that point. I did think it was interesting when they were discussing the Omer move, how Jonathan and Mike were sort of like, well, that was our move. Because I'm sure they gave Marianne a little bit more credit in the edit just because she ended up winning and that was sort of like her big move. But it did seem like, obviously, maybe Mike and Jonathan got the ball rolling. But as soon as Lindsay won, they were like, no, let's do Romeo. And it took Marianne to come in and be like, here we go. Like, and I'm sure everyone was on board with this split vote that Marianne proposed. Maybe it looked like Mike and Jonathan weren't as down for that. But it seemed like Marianne was really like, here's our chance. Let me use my extra vote. You guys can split your votes. It seemed like Marianne's plan. So it's like, just because you're Mike, or also it was like, well, Jonathan was like, well, I was the first one to say his name. Like, Marianne had a great answer where it's like, that doesn't mean I wasn't thinking about him and wanting him out. Like, just because you're like, I could be thinking about it and be like, okay, I know Jonathan's going to be like, I think we should get Omar out. And you'd be like, oh, I'm down. And then Jonathan's like, wow, I'm good at the game.
You gonna see him in real life, man. You gonna see him at Hearts. He gonna choke you.
Do you think he's a posse member though?
Okay, say no. Yeah, you're right. There was a point when Jonathan said, no, that was my move. I told Mike and blah, blah, blah. And Maryanne was like, yes, but I promise I thought this up as well. Maybe you said it first or whatever, but then she got the ball rolling, and you're right about that. So,
and clearly she was down considering the commitment she had to that plan. So,
right. And I also think it's in this day and age in social media, like it's like it doesn't happen unless you post about it. And so I think that, you know, Maryanne using that extra vote kind of sort of like solidifies like, okay, this might have been your plan, but baby, I put the cherry on the top, and that's all that honestly, not that really matters. But again, what did you do but say it?
And she's sitting there at the end. She hit it out the park, and she's sitting there at the end. There was a part where Romeo basically says, I'm leaving this game a free man who won't be scared how my family feels. I can live as a free man in my 30s, and I haven't been able to do this since I've been holding this thing since I was 18 or something to that effect. And again, this is his story being told as this gay minority man on national TV. And so again, kudos to the storytellers. Kudos to Romeo for having the courage to fight through this game, get to Final Tribal, take a beating at Final Tribal, still keep his head high, still be the pageant queen or what have you that he continued to draw parallels to. I'm proud of him for no matter what they threw at this guy, staying strong and saying, I'm still proud of myself and I'm going to come out of this a better man.
Absolutely. And the only thing I say to that is like, I know that like in the game of Survivor, there's only one winner, but I'm sorry, like in the Olympics, isn't there medals for gold? Like, I just feel like winning final three is still a win in my opinion. So I'm just saying, like, you know, Romeo is still a winner in my eyes.
Yeah, he got a medal. He got a medal. So like, he didn't get the gold medal for Survivor, but he got the bronze medal for Survivor, and also probably different kinds of awards for his performance on Survivor.
More money than I got. But
yeah, that's around with 80. I think he got 80.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we said, like I've had my criticisms about Romeo's game, criticisms about Jonathan's game. It's just a game though. Like when it comes down to it, the fact that they're like that Romeo's getting out more from this experience than that, like to him, than the $1 million win. That's so respectable. And like, just because someone doesn't play their best game necessarily doesn't mean anything about them as a person to me. So I can appreciate the person separate from the game.
Yeah. So
guys, if you're listening to this, please don't, Jonathan, please don't put me in a chokehold. You're great.
Nah, it's gonna have to be. We're gonna have to have your back. Like it's gonna be the three of us, and he gonna toss us all.
You could put me in the chokehold.
Okay. We also get a moment where Mike says, I came in as an older guy who was able to get in with the younger generation and make it this far, which, you know, kudos to Mike, because
it's crazy. He's 57.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I just say this notion of like, and I get where he's coming from, but I hope that Mike realizes no matter your age, if you a cool dude, you a cool, like, you know what I mean? You a cool dude. So I do hate the notion of being like, I'm the older guy. I had to like, I think in me, it's more like, Mike, you just that dude. You are able, standing on your, being the person that you are and playing the game that you want, I think speaks a lot. And I think that, he
is. But sometimes in Survivor, that person's eliminated first.
Right. I mean, and sometimes for a lot of other reasons. No, I get that. But I'm just saying in general, like, you could be 71-year-old Mike, and I'ma still want to hang out with you. And like, I just like, I think that, but I get what he's doing, but I just appreciate Mike.
We also get a moment from Marianne where she said something like, she knew of her path to the end with that Omar vote, right? With that Omar vote. But sometimes she self-sabotages. And she's so good at communicating this. So she really considered saving Lindsay, bringing her with her. And that's a self-sabotaging move because she knows that a Lindsay is playing this strong game and can certainly win a lot of votes at the end. So she overcame that to say, no, I need to own this. I will not self-sabotage in this moment. This is my moment, and I'm going to make the most of it. So one of her biggest moves was keeping an idol in her pocket, was not making that move. That's like, yeah.
That exactly, yeah. I thought it was, especially with that being said, like a lot of the narrative the whole season was that Marianne wasn't afraid to make these moves. Like she would rather go out swinging than like even from the first episode or the second episode when she had the ship's wheel, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna make that big move. It was so great to see her in that spot at Final Five make the smart move, which was to not make the big move. And she really seems to have, maybe that's one of the most underrated elements of her game, is knowing when and when not to really swing for the fences. It was, I will say real quick, it's not even like a criticism per se. But it felt like in Marianne's final tribal sort of pitches, it was almost like they had the breakfast and then Marianne went and got some like a public speaking class. Cause I thought it was so funny to me where someone would ask her, she's like, yes, great question. Let me answer your question. She answered the question. She's like, does that tell you what you need to know? And I was like, such a like very good articulation, but it was very like formal, like public speaking, which I thought was so funny, but she definitely knocked it out of the park overall.
She did. And sometimes I think, because as I get older, my memory fades and like I can't remember anything. And she's what, 23, 24? Sharp as a tack
during the season, yeah.
So 23, yes. So she's sharp as a tack, and she brought it. She was ready to go. And not every, young person will be ready for the moment in those lights. And she stepped into it and was ready to go. Even in her posture, you saw her just like, she was a true champion. It was beautiful to watch.
She was dialed in for sure.
She was dialed in. So I think that is when, it becomes time to vote. And Jeff tells them, because it's season 42 and they don't see what happened in season 41, that he's going to actually read it all live right there. Everything's going to happen right there. And you get these big reactions from everyone. And then can we do a little, can you be props with the time to vote, my man, Jackery?
Yeah. What do you need?
Can you just say,
just like read the votes?
Yeah. I got you.
Guys, we're doing things a little bit differently this year. Our budget is tight, so we're reading the votes right here on the island. So with that, I'll read the votes. First vote, Mike.
Oh, Mike! Wow.
Second vote, Marianne. That's one vote, Mike. One vote, Marianne. Third vote, Marianne. That's two votes, Marianne. One vote, Mike. Fourth vote, Marianne. That's three votes, Marianne. One vote, Mike. No votes, Romeo. Fifth vote, Marianne. That's four votes, Marianne. One vote, Mike. Hold up, Bryce. We still got to go a little longer. In the winner of Survivor 42, Marianne.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. Marianne, you got to drop the ball and do it to the left. Put it to the right. Put it to the left. Put it to the right.
Mary. Girl.
You know what? I have a recommendation for Jeff. I think Jeff, when he announces the winner, he should be like, Marianne, the tribe has spoken, or something.
True.
I don't know.
That's true. That's a good button.
It sounded better in my head.
Wow. Marianne.
To see it. Yes. Phenomenal game. amazing young lady, just embodies what I want to be like.
Excellence.
Yes, excellence, like
brilliance, beauty,
savage
courage,
would need to be like, yes. And
strength.
it is just so exciting to see her take it home. And I think that it is just,
look at them. Look at those reactions.
Look at Ross like going in on the pizza.
Unapologetically her.
Like, yes.
Yeah. She was awesome.
Yeah. It is amazing. However, I just have to say that it needs to be noted that Marianne flew. Okay, she is flying. But the reason that Marianne was able to fly was because Queen Briceizyah, and I believe it is 20 or 22 years, 20 years ago since we've had a Black female winner. And I think that Marianne deserves all the credit. However, we do have to give our flowers to the queen that is Briceizyah, because she was a trailblazer, and it has been too long for us not to have only 2 Black women winners, and we are at season 43. So again, all the praise to Marianne, but I definitely think we need to give the flowers to the queen that is Briceizyah from Survivor Marquise. And she just did I say it wrong?
Marquesas?
Okay, that's what I said. Okay.
Marquise.
You made it somebody's cousin.
My cousin Survivor Marquise. But no, Briceizyah is a queen, and it's just great to see the legacy live on through Marianne.
Yeah, shower her with praises and flowers, because she did it. She did it, and she did it her way. She carved out her niche. We haven't had a Black female winner in 20 years, and we've been wanting one and like waiting. And there have been so many great Black female players to play the game that just either fell short, didn't get it done, or because of the politics of the game, or because they weren't given a fair shot, or any of these things. But now we're going to see this. We're going to see more Black women winning. We're going to see more minority women winning. And Marianne absolutely deserves this win, and it's so beautiful to see this brilliant shining light of a young lady from Canada. Now we got back-to-back Canadian winners. They doing their thing. They come into play. It's so great. She earned it.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of her.
The Canadians are too good at this game, bro.
They've been waiting 20 years to play, Jack.
They're just better people than we are.
I'm moving to Canada, guys. So just listen, I'm going.
That's not how it works, Bryce.
Oh
no, he'll make the merge if he moves to Canada.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Jack. But honestly, it's been such a thrill to be able to run down each week episodes with you guys. And it's just been an amazing time. So I just want to give you guys your flowers. Thank you, Jackery, Wendeezy, the Purple Pants Posse, the Jack Shacks, just for listening, supporting, writing in the comments, and going along with us. Just wanted to put that out there, that like it's been an amazing season, and thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. I'm excited to do some post-season breakdowns potentially.
Yes.
So I hope we have those coming to the Posse's way. But yeah, it was an awesome season. A great, it was a little slow for a while, but the end was incredible. The last few episodes. So as always, it was a great ride this season with you guys.
Yeah, I think this season we found our stride, the three of us. We've improved as podcasters, journalists, whatever we are, and it was a great ride. So thank you, Jack. Thank you, Bryce, for letting me be on it. Thank you to the listeners. We're excited to keep some content coming to you with the deep dives, the bonus coverage, and all of that. And we're going to find more ways to get more content to you. But I'm just very thankful for the listeners and for the two of you for letting me pod with you.
Do you want to see my balls?
I'm gonna get some new ones over the summer. I'm coming back stronger than ever for season 43. And then
Jack, do you have any 42 ones?
Yeah, I have the original Green Tribe. Is it the Vati?
Vati.
Yeah.
Do you need any more?
Should I put it on?
Let's see it.
Jack, did you just dive? Did you just dive?
Jack just dove out of the way to get his Vati buff.
I know right where it is.
I got the Marty Piombo look. Hold on.
Jack, you dove into the floor.
No, I just slid.
No, you don't.
Now, Jack, we know that you.
Jack, where's your buff?
I might wear this to class.
Gee.
You only gotta tell Jack one time.
How do I make my hair look like Xander's?
No, Jack, I know. We know that you are probably going to be on the island one day. So I know that you have practiced wearing a buff.
Oh, yeah.
So how would you wear it on? Is that how you wear it?
No, it doesn't look good with my. I go on the wrist.
Okay.
Classic. Maybe I'd go a little Boy Scout, go around the neck. Or when did we do the hats? Remember that episode where we all did like the little hats and Bryce had the wig on?
Yeah.
I might do that. I might bring a wig out.
All right. You gotta get you gotta know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments how you guys wear your buffs. We're curious to know as well. But it's been a phenomenal season. We thank you guys so much. This has been your Survivor News coverage of season 42. I am Briceizyah. That's Wendell Holland. And that's Jack Atkins. And listen, we are out.
Issa.
You gotta grab it from the right, grab it from the left, and we go with it.
Ooh, Chile. It's the purple pants. 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 It's the